Sometimes healing our complex trauma feels more complex than the trauma itself. I've spent the last 4 years learning how to heal a lifetime of complex trauma rooted in abandonment and shame. And along the way, I began noticing patterns that changed how I understood healing. In this video, I'm sharing the framework that emerged from that journey, the Inner Heart Healing Roadmap. Please join me.
Welcome to the Reverend Jane Garrity podcast. I'm Reverend Jane Garrity, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a place for healing, honest conversations, spiritual exploration, and remembering who we truly are. So, wherever you are today, take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin.
Hi, I'm Reverend Jane Garrity. I'm a psychic medium and spiritual healer, and welcome to my channel. I've spent the last few years on a deep psychic healing journey from complex trauma. There were so many times that it felt hard and gnarly, and I would think to myself, if only I had a map. So I decided to create one. The truth about complex trauma is that healing can feel just as complex as the trauma itself, and it's normal to feel defeated along the way, revert back to old patterns. It's all part of the process. So I built this roadmap based upon my personal experience while spiritually healing my complex trauma, and I identified 3 main energy centers that I call foundation, fundamentals, and freedom. You don't need to be a psychic to heal your trauma. My roadmap is for everyone, and I'm sharing the tools that I've learned through my spiritual and human lens. There are countless pieces to the healing process that must be cultivated simultaneously. What once felt like chaos eventually revealed itself as a pattern. CPTSD is more complex than anyone could possibly know unless they've experienced healing it. For most of us, we are unraveling a lifetime of trauma that began in childhood and then compounded in adulthood through years of unprocessed traumatic events and abuse. For me, I fell into alcohol addiction, which ended up leaving me even more disconnected from myself and not present in the reality of my own life. Healing complex trauma means we are experiencing a multi-layered process of releasing while simultaneously rebuilding as we go. Think of this analogy. Imagine ourselves as a giant 3D puzzle with multiple layers of dynamic sections in each layer. We're removing pieces that aren't ours or don't fit, and we're rearranging the ones that do. Sometimes we think a piece will fit in a certain spot, but then only to find out that once we start filling in the pieces around it, we gain perspective and the big picture view, and we realize it actually didn't fit. And if that isn't challenging enough, we have no box cover to this puzzle as a visual aid to help guide us. That is what it feels like to release old identities rooted in trauma and shame and abandonment while reconnecting with our personal truth. And for those of us that never learned our personal truth throughout our childhood or young adulthood, we must accept that we are discovering and remembering who we are as we go along. Through my psychic awakening and my practice of awareness, I began noticing patterns. The repeating patterns all around me, within me, and I began over time turning those patterns into a strategy. I've spent the last couple of years building a framework that I call the Inner Heart Healing Roadmap. This strategy falls into 3 main energetic centers of the body. They are foundation, fundamentals, and freedom. I've identified these centers through my psychic healing and energy practice. You may notice that this framework differs from traditional energy teachings, and that's okay. Those teachings are correct, they're not wrong. But in many systems, the foundation is associated with our root and our connection to safety, survival, and embodiment. Through my own healing journey, I discovered that when healing complex trauma and abandonment, the greatest challenge wasn't learning how to ground. It was rebuilding my relationship with myself. That's why, within the Inner Heart Healing Roadmap, I identify the heart and throat centers as the foundation center. These are the energetic spaces connected to self-worth, authenticity, truth, and our personal dignity. So my work isn't to bash or replace any of those traditional teachings because they are correct. It is simply the framework that emerged through my own healing experience and the patterns that I've learned along the way, specifically for complex trauma. So let's begin with the foundation center. If our sense of self is lost or fractured or stuck within the wounds of abandonment, shame, and worthlessness, then our foundation is unstable. Energetically, our heart and throat portions make up our foundation of self. This center holds our truth, our authenticity, and our dignity. If we're stuck in the loops of shame, doubt, and in the feelings of unworthiness, then we're not living within our truth of self. The next is fundamentals. The Fundamental Healing Center is rooted in the practice of awareness. In order to be able to heal and change our foundation of self, it's through our center of awareness. Energetically, our fundamental center of awareness resides within our head space and our crown. This practice is essential to develop becoming consciously aware in the present moment, which enables seeing pattern recognition and then healing through visualization and meditation. This awareness allows us to receive our intuitive downloads, connect with our intuition and spiritual self, and is an essential piece of understanding our purpose, which is what drives us throughout our lives. And third, the Freedom Center. This center is about releasing energy, particularly the unprocessed grief that sits within our lower energy system. Releasing this emotional grief gives us the space to ground within our bodies. This is where grief from our traumas have gotten stuck. It's time to learn how to release the stuck energy that keeps us in the state of anxiety, survival, and emotional dysregulation. Healing this center is the path to grounding ourselves, achieving emotional liberation and inner freedom. Processing our grief is an unavoidable part of the journey. Not releasing this energy is what holds us back from manifesting our heart's desires, connecting with our true selves, and being able to lead with our intuition and raise our conscious awareness. The only way to heal our complex trauma is from the inside out. It's a solo journey of self-discovery through remembrance, which is a practice that fosters progress over time. The first step, it takes some courage. There's fear. I know, it's scary. We have been avoiding our pain for decades. But then the next steps, we just need a little tenacity, meaning we just want to keep going, don't stop. And then we just have some good old-fashioned gumption, which helps us to have self-leadership and lead the way within our own journey. When we expand our conscious awareness, we rebuild our self-worth, become grounded in our bodies, which leads to emotional regulation. When we have emotional regulation, we learn to respond instead of react. This practice helps us cultivate the self-worth, the self-respect, and the self-love needed to detach from codependent behaviors, breaking limiting patterns, and begin releasing old karmic cycles. But eventually, we reach a place where we must face a deeper truth about the human existence itself. The universal law of duality is one that is undeniable and inescapable. The yin and yang down to every single molecule on this earth, including our whole human selves. We cannot fully see, experience, feel the light and the joy within ourselves unless we're also willing to witness, experience, and feel the dark within us too. But what if I told you that that darkness is just unprocessed pain and grief? Would it be easier to muster up some courage to look at it? When we validate and release the pain that we have been avoiding for decades, while at the same time learning how to embrace the light within ourselves, it is only then that we are able to feel true love, joy, and belonging. Complex trauma certainly is and feels uber complex, but maybe healing doesn't have to be. We can remove some of the complexity once we have the desire to choose to create the tools, develop the skills, and practice as we grow. Now, a tarot pull. Tarot has been a huge part of my healing journey. And no, it's not the occult. Tarot, I'm going to choose this deck today. Tarot, it's actually pronounced tarot, is the story of the soul's journey on their path to awakening, enlightenment, and healing. How's that? And for me, I develop rituals. So this is also very pronounced within my ministry and within my practice, prayer, meditation, whatever we want to call it. That's what it is. And so I developed my little ritual because I want to make sure that whatever card I pull, I'm going to intuitively interpret it the right way that is best for me personally. So in this instance, I'm going to share my ritual with you, and let's get started. So first thing I do is I clairvoyantly look at my deck and I make sure it's completely grounded all the way down to the center of the earth. And then I reach out and I say, hello, Supreme Being. And I always receive a hello back. Will you please send your blessings to this deck to give me the message that myself and my audience needs to hear today? Thank you. And then I'll even call in my spirit team. So this can become a morning ritual, a type of morning prayer, if you will. And it helps us to develop new, positive, repeating behaviors within our lives. And that has been a pivotal key thing to heal my trauma. So anyway, everybody's here. The gang's all here. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to give it a light shuffle. And, you can either shuffle the cards, you can cut the deck, pick the top card, whatever your intuition and energy is guiding for you is right. Okay, here's this top card that came out. The Knight of Pentacles. All right, so I'm going to look at this card and energy message clairvoyantly, and then we will read the book because that's how we learn. All right, so what I'm seeing is this woman who is stationed on this horse. She is the knight. And the Knight of Pentacles is about earth. And what she's showing me is really about messaging, bringing gifts and messages from Spirit and from Mama Earth. And the messages that I'm seeing are really about learning how to ground and cultivate, plant seeds. And what she's showing me is that she's finally at a place where she has been nurturing and tending her own garden, her own projects, her own drive and purpose. And as she has been tending to this garden, there's some seeds didn't grow. So she's learning how to push those seeds aside and really focus on the ones that are performing or that are growing. So now let's read the book. Let's see. Knight of Pentacles. The female Knight of Pentacles sits on a horse, watching over a freshly plowed field. She's in no hurry and stands thoughtful and vigilant on her watch. Her horse is made up of leaves from an oak tree, a symbol of constancy and reliability. The knight is fulfilling her responsibility to guard the field, even though the job is sometimes difficult and monotonous. The upright meaning, because the duality, we have both ways. The upright meaning is reliability, consistency, discipline, endurance, routine, and diligence. The reverse meaning, so if you had pulled this card and it came up like this, that means the reverse, or the yin and the yang. Distraction, boredom, shirking responsibility, or imprudent. So the message today is that when we are watching over our crops, all of the seeds that we've planted, and we are diligent and consistent, they're going to grow. But if we're not, if we're shirking our responsibilities, anything can happen. Once she leaves her watch, maybe animals come and eat the harvest. So one of those nice little messages that I think is good for everybody. Well, thank you. So anyway, if my message resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe and join me as we walk the path together. I'm still on my healing journey too. Here on this channel, I'll be sharing the Inner Heart Healing Roadmap, collective readings, guided meditations, psychic insights, and practical tools that have helped me to reconnect with my authentic self after a lifetime of abandonment wounds, trauma, addiction, and grief. In the next video, we'll begin with the Foundation Center and explore our sense of self through psychic and energetic lens. I'll guide you through a meditation and a visualization practice to help you discover where your foundation is today and how to begin healing it. And we'll always pull a card. And remember, healing isn't about becoming somebody new. It's about remembering who you were before the world taught you to forget. And if you're looking for additional support on your own awakening and healing journey, I offer personal readings and psychic healing sessions where we explore your unique path together. You'll find those resources linked below. So whether we connect through a session, a meditation, a collective reading, or simply here on this channel, my hope is that something shared here helps you to remember your worth and reconnect with your truth and help you find your way back to yourself. Until next time, keep choosing yourself, keep following your truth, and keep coming home to your heart. Thank you.